It took me a whole year between playing the shareware version of Doom and finally getting my hands on the full game. I was just a kid back then, I didn't look up gameplay footage or playthroughs, so I had no idea what was waiting for me in episodes 2 and 3. And there I was, finally stepping into episode 2. I tore through the levels and soon I was near the end. I knew something big was coming. I mean, it was the 8th level, a boss had to be waiting there. But what could it be? 3 barons? A giant pinky? Maybe just a massive swarm of imps and zombies? Holy shit. What kind of monster could do that to Baron?
We are many. We are one. We are the brilliant Thor. We foresee a great battle. The outcome is not clear. We are the only way to destroy Hell's mightiest warrior.
Over the years, the Cyberdemon has undergone major changes. Once a rare boss encounter, is now treated more like an elite enemy, appearing more frequently and equipped with advanced attack patterns and new abilities. Yet when it first showed up in E2M8, it was simple. You had no parry mechanics to use, no quick swap nonsense, no double jumping bullshit. If you wanted to survive, you had to learn one thing and one thing only: strafing. In our day and age, strafing is second nature, left and right keys by default. But back then, you had to hold an extra key just to strafe, and rebinding control wasn't as straightforward. So most of us just stuck with whatever layout it came with. And sure, once you figured out how to change it, you felt dumb for not doing it sooner, but at the time, yeah, that fight felt brutal. But what really made the Cyberdemon tough wasn't those lost souls, it was those stupid columns, getting stuck on them trying to shoot while dodging around only to clip the edge. You know how it goes. So let's see what the manual has to say about this cyber asshole. Yeah, nothing. Turns out there's no description at all. Since the Cyberdemon was a boss, they wanted to keep it a surprise. The only thing we really knew at the time was that it was a giant demon, with a rocket launcher for an arm and way too much metal bolted onto it. Speaking of scale, the Cyberdemon is said to stand just under 12 feet tall, which is surprisingly not that huge compared to what I imagined. Still, it towers over most enemies and crushes them in just about every category: health, speed, and pain resistance. Well, no, only the Archvile surpassed it in pain chance, but that came later in Doom 2. In '93, the Spider Mastermind and the Cyberdemon were the only demon with cybernetics, though the reason for those enhancements wasn't made clear at the time. Back then, it was mostly just because anything with cybernetics looked cool. But years later, in 2008, Wolfenstein RPG was released and finally gave us an actual explanation. The final boss in that game is called the Harbinger of Doom, and after you defeat him, he loses the same limb that the Cyberdemon has replaced with cybernetics. He even curses B.J. Blazkowicz, vowing to return and fight his descendants, linking directly to Doom. Then, when we look at Doom RPG, which came out in 2005, before Wolfenstein RPG, but takes place later in the timeline, we learn that the Cyberdemon was strogified by an evil mastermind named Kronos, who fused human technology with demonic flesh to build him. That explains this version of the Cyberdemon and how it got its cybernetics through human tech. But it doesn't explain the one from Doom 1, since the RPG games happen after the events of Doom 1 and 2, and somewhere around Doom 3, I think. Yeah, it's pretty confusing. The official website even claimed the player character was the same Marine from Doom 1, 2, and 3, but that's no longer considered canon. The Cyberdemon shows up again 5 years later in Doom 2 RPG, this time with both legs intact. That's not a lore change. That was just due to the limitation of the game's animation system. The leg sprites had to be mirrored for walking, so they made them symmetrical. That's all. Doom 2 brought the cyber asshole back, this time with an official description. A missile launching skyscraper with goat legs. Nuff said. We also learned something much more terrifying. The Cyberdemon isn't a unique creature, it's a class. While Doom 1 hinted at this in the E3M9 secret level, Doom 2 made it obvious by throwing multiple of them at you through the game. 1 month later, the release of Ultimate Doom added a 4th episode, which also included a few more encounters. Later on, the 2 expansion, the Plutonia Experiment and TNT Evolution, pushed that even further, placing them in far trickier situations, especially in the super secret level of Plutonia Experiment, where you fight not 1, not 2, but 13 fucking Cyberdemons. Brothers Casali, you mad, sadistic asshole. And while this came much later, I'll mention it now. Legacy of Rust introduced the Tyrant into classic Doom, basically a smaller version. Despite sharing the same name as the one in Doom Eternal, they don't have much in common gameplay-wise, aside from being made from the same type of demon. In this version, both legs are organic and there are no horns. Or maybe there are, but they're just really small. Either way, they're weaker in every way compared to the Cyberdemon, but they make up for it by showing up in much greater numbers. Doom 64 kept the same basic design, just with darker skin and a slightly larger frame. In the lore, this version was resurrected by the Mother Demon. Its main difference in behavior is that every 4th shot predicts your movement, which makes dodging a bit trickier and gives it more edge compared to the original version. I don't know why, but I always felt this shot was missing something. I don't know. Doom 3. I love the game, it's one of my favorite in the series. But, yeah, they really dropped the ball on the final boss. The first time you fight the Cyberdemon, it's kind of surprising. You shoot it and nothing happens. That's because, surprise. You can't kill it with normal weapons, you have to use the Soul Cube. Once you figure that out, the fight turns into a predictable loop. Kill a few imps and then maggots, charge the Soul Cube, fire it, repeat. Do that 4 times and you win. Just don't get hit by a rocket. That's it. They could have made this fight way more intense. Imagine if stronger enemies spawned instead. Hell Knights, Mankubi, even Pinkies. Or better yet, keep the Soul Cube mechanic, but make it so the cube just remove its invulnerability. You still need to damage the Cyberdemon with your own weapons, all while dodging rockets and clearing out the demon around you. That would have made the fight so much more fun and way more memorable. Anyway, in Doom 3 lore, the Cyberdemon is described as Hell's mightiest warrior. You encounter it on the final level, guarding the last portal connecting Mars to Hell. Visually, it's bulkier than before, with a lot more cybernetics. It also has a new ability. If it stomps, it deals 400 damage, which means if you're nearby, that's pretty much a guaranteed death. Now, we get into the good part of the Cyberdemon's history. First, I think it's important to talk about the hype the Doom 2016 trailer created. Because, holy shit, that final shot, it felt like the peak of Doom history. 14 years had gone by without anything big for the series, and then, bam! That motherfucker drops and everything exploded. The music, the pacing, the reveal, it was perfect. But before we get to the in-game encounter, we need to look at the lore. Because for the first time, Doom gave us actual detailed backstory on this thing. The Cyberdemon is described as the most successful result of Argent Organic Fusion. It's the flagship creation of the Lazarus Project, a symbiotic fusion between an ancient Balgar demon and an Argent accumulator. The demon itself was discovered during the second Project Lazarus Manned expedition in 2148. This creature was so powerful that it had to be kept in permanent, suspended animation. They tried to control it multiple times, but every time it was weakened, it just drained more energy from the Argent core and came back stronger. The only way to shut it down was to remove the implant completely. Until they found a way to safely control it, the Cyberdemon stayed in stasis. The Corex tablet, found during a UAC survey mission in 2143, described an ancient battle in the Titans' realm, and among the ruins, they recovered the petrified remains of a massive Shadow Lord believed to be a Bulgar. The initial plan was to turn it into an exhibit, educational, inspirational. Yeah. That didn't last. Once they discovered that even trace amount of Argent energy could bring the flesh back to life, they switched direction and began merging it with high-tech weaponry. The idea of building a fully operational battle demon from a reanimated corpse was just too tempting. During the reanimation phase, they tried to keep the demon alive while also keeping it brain dead by carefully managing its Argent intake. Then, they implanted a neural link to let it channel energy to different parts of its body. That was the big mistake. The moment the neural pathway activated, the Cyberdemon sent a surge of energy to its own brainstem. It regained motor control, restored its circulation system, and within minutes it was fully operational. And the only reason they managed to contain it was follower Jacobson. He gave his life to lure the beast into holding pen 6. Once inside, the doors were locked and Jacobson was lost. A report after the incident suggested this wasn't just brute instinct. There might be a greater intelligence behind it, some kind of overlord that governs all demon-born creatures, a mastermind. The Cyberdemon was one hell of a change from previous iterations. The original had to be fought using the classic shoot it until it dies strategy. Now, it's divided into different stages, each one introducing new abilities you have to learn and react to. Arm cannon, energy sword, missile launchers, massive lasers. And in the second phase, it adds 2 powers where it traps you in a long rock corridor and fire energy arcs that you have to jump over. To be fair, the fight wasn't that difficult, definitely more challenging than the old one. But still, it was fun to see the demon loaded with that many powers. In Doom Eternal, Cyberdemon were renamed Tyrants to differentiate them from the 2016 version and shift their role from boss enemies to elite units. According to the Codex, these Tyrants are demon lords from the Black Soul Pit of Babel. They've long served as wardens and slavers in the infernal depths. Once captured by the UAC, they were weaponized and fitted with cybernetic parts, turning them into tools for extracting sin-branded souls from Earth. Their authority in Hell comes from the mark of the Elder Hell Gods, and among lesser demons, they're feared for their cruelty and power. Their primary attacks include firing missile salvos from their arm cannon, a lock-on laser burst, energy sword slashes, flaming shockwaves, and ground stomps that trigger fiery explosions. However, every powerhouse has a weak spot. Their size is both an advantage and a liability. They're slow to rotate, making them extremely vulnerable from behind, if you can manage to stay there and not get fucked by all the other demon pieces of shit. I'm curious to know if we'll eventually encounter a Tyrant that hasn't undergone cybernetic operations, like the one seen in Wolfenstein RPG. It makes sense that the Tyrants we know were already dead before the USC reanimated and modified them, using Argent accumulators to power their entire bodies. So it would be really interesting to see these demons in their fresh state, and also see how they were originally taken down, probably by Doom Guy, who for some reason seemed to enjoy wrecking them by ripping off their right legs and left arms every time. Now, the Dark Ages is bringing back the Cyberdemon, and design-wise, it looks incredible. But I feel like they kind of miss a huge opportunity. In the lore, they are told to be high-ranking Horde elders, considered ancient and mythical. They command lesser demons under the authority of Prince Azrak, and their bloodline supposedly goes back to the fall of Jakad itself. However, out of fear that they might rebel, Prince Azrak had their wing tendons severed, stripping them of flight. That part kind of breaks my heart. Why give them wings just to say they can use them? Maybe it was always meant to be visual only, or maybe flight was originally planned and cut later on. Hard to say. Still, If you look at the Eternal Cyberdemon, there are two spots on its back that look like they could have been where wings were supposed to go. That's pretty cool. It doesn't take away the disappointment of not seeing them fly in the Dark Ages, but I'm surprised by the continuity. The head design doesn't quite match though. The one in Eternal looks swollen, maybe because it was revived from a corpse, or maybe it's not even the same species. This new version has similar attacks to the previous one, but now uses semi-homing skull-like rockets that can quickly break shields and deal heavy damage, replacing the old laser lock-on. Its behavior, however, puts more emphasis on melee combat. Staying at a distance puts you at higher risk of getting hit or having your shield broken, which forces you to get in close and rely on chain blocking with your shield. What caught my attention is how this demon is called a Cyberdemon, while the one in Eternal was called a Tyrant. At a glance, they share some similarities, but there are just as many differences. The horn shape stands out right away. It's not quite like the one in Doom 2016 either. One interesting detail about this new design is the eye embedded in his chest. I first thought it was related to the cosmic realm, like something that controls or empowers them. I was reminded that the eye symbol was used long before the cosmic realm was introduced, which makes the symbol more likely to be of hellish origin. Then, I noticed it was at the same place where the Argent accumulator was placed on the other Cyberdemon. Yet, the Argent accumulator didn't exist at this point in the timeline. But something had to power his weapons and mechanical systems. We know that before the introduction of Argent energy, demons used Hell essence to strengthen themselves during combat. Most native Hell creatures can channel that power without any machinery, like the Imp or the Hell Knight. The Cyberdemon can do it too, but his body is fused with far more equipment. That's why I think the device on his chest works like some sort of Hell power battery, either channeling additional Hell energy or amplifying what's already inside the demon. It would feed power through his body to support his mechanical leg, cannon, and the strange eye lenses fused into his head. There's also another key difference with the version seen in Eternal. Instead of naturally forming an energy weapon like in the Dark Ages, it used a built-in module on its arm to generate it. This supports the idea that, after being resurrected, the creature could no longer tap into Hell essence on its own, now fully dependent on the Argent system to sustain its body, operate its machinery, and power its weapons.